So if you remember yesterday, in the previous session, we have discussed about text functions and we have discussed about number functions. Okay. So anyone have any queries on this? I know you didn't get a chance to practice all these functions and all. I know because you don't have this facility of BluePrism on your missions or something like that. Because of some issues, we haven't yet started the classroom sessions, right? So that's fine, no problem. So just for your information, I'm just giving a short recap here. So first thing is, let me concentrate on text functions. Numeric functions are fine. You will be able to understand these numeric functions very easily, even if you see it directly. So let's say what we do in the addition here, we add two numbers. So numbers can be passed through the data items also. Not the, you can hardcode the values, you can pass through the data items. So good practice is to pass through the data items. I can say 45 plus 60. So this is called as hard coding. I'm directly entering the values here. Instead of directly entering the values here, can I pass that 45 and 60 through data items? Yes, I will be able to pass like this 45 and here let me mention 60. So data item A is having value 45, data item B is having value 60. Now will I be able to add those two? Yes, I will be able to add those two. Go to add, drag and drop your data items here. You can simply drag and drop here A and B and then click on this paste button. You have this paste button, so your expression is generated here. Okay, you can, once you are familiar in using these data items and all, you can directly write the expression here. You no need to go to this function detail all the time. You can simply say A plus B. If you want to add more numbers, you can simply say plus C again plus A. If you want to do something like that, you can keep writing an expression here like this. Okay, so once you're familiar with all the symbols, so what are all the symbols, what is the syntax? So basically we need to be familiar with the syntax. Once we are familiar with the syntax, it will be easy for us to go ahead and write the expression by ourselves. And we discussed about decimal padding. So what is this decimal padding is going to do? Decimal padding is going to add decimal values to the given number. So let's say for example, my number is 245. So I want to pad some values here. So I say 3, paste. Once you evaluate the expression, you can see after 245 it is padding zeros here. You want to get a decimal number. This is a normal integer, but I want to see a decimal number. I want to make it a decimal number. So which function will help you to convert a number, integer number, to a decimal number? That is the place where we can use this decimal padding. Okay, and only zeros will be padded over there. Okay, remember, only zeros will be padded, not any other numeric values. Okay, and then we have seen round up and round down functions. You know what is this round up and round down is going to do? Round up will, let's say if the value is 1.52, if the value is 1.52, if you say round up, it will go to 1.6. Okay, and if you say round down, it will come to 1.5. Okay, but whereas round will go ahead and do it based on the values. So round function will be, so let's say for example, if our value is 1.52, if I use round function, it will give us result as 1.5. Whereas if our value is 1.6, then it will give us the result as, sorry, 1.56, then it will give the result as 1.6. That is the round function. Okay, 0 to 5 is one limit and 5 to 10 is another limit. If the number is a decimal value is having 5 to 10, then it will take the higher number, next number. Okay, so that is round function. And then we have these text functions here. So text functions, character, concatenate, ends with. I mean, we have seen all these functions yesterday. I mean, in the previous session. So what is this character? Character gives the character value based on the decimal number which we are going to provide according to ASCII table. Okay, so let's say for example, I say 75 will give me the related character for that. That is the example here. 65 is decimal code for A and 66 is decimal code for B. So likewise, you need to enter the code here. The input for this character function will be the decimal code. Decimal code will be in numeric format. It can be 65, 75, whatever it may be. According to the ASCII table, this is going to work. And then we have concatenate. We know what is the purpose of concatenate. Concatenate will help us to combine two strings here. How can I combine two strings? This is BluePrism demo class. So let's say for example something like that. Okay. So when I paste it here, you can see this is my text, first text. This is my second text. Okay. I want to generate a sentence here. So how will I be able to do that? If I want to combine these two text values, these two text values, if I want to combine them, I am going to use concatenate function here. So what is the symbol for concatenate function? Ampersand is the symbol for the concatenate function. When you say ampersand here, it is going to join these two sentences, okay, or these two lines. Okay, you can see the resultant here. This is BluePrism demo class. Okay, now similarly, as we discussed earlier, it is a good practice to pass the values from through data items rather than passing them here in the hard-coded way. Okay, so let's say for example, I'll be having first name and last name. Yesterday we have seen one example like that in our previous session. So we'll be having first name here and last name in another data item. If you want to combine them, we need to pass the data items. We need to pass the values through the data items. Okay, first name and last name. This is my text function, text data type. And then let me go to this calculation stage itself. First name, ampersand, last name. Okay, and then I will store it in full name data item. Let me create a data item here. Now you can see here we have first name, last name. Now combinedly we are going to get the full name. We are going to combine them, and how are we going to do that? By using concatenate function. Concatenate function will help you to combine two values. Okay, you can combine two sentences, you can combine two paragraphs. If you have a big paragraph here in this, we can combine it with this. Okay, so that is how we do this concatenation function. Okay, now concatenate, and then we know ends with will help you to check if one piece of text ends with another, so we can identify if this particular word is ending with a specific characters or not. So let's say for example, I want to identify there is a numeric code for me. I want to identify what are all the numeric codes are ending with 321. So I will be able to use this ends with. So ends with will function. Ends with function will help us to identify if a specific word is ending with a specific characters or not. Okay, and then we have string here. In string will help you to identify if a character is present inside a word or a word is present inside a sentence. When you're planning to find something, if some word is present in some paragraph or not, so how will you be able to do that? We will be able to do it using in string. In string will give you the position, the result from the in-string function will be position of the word which is available in that paragraph. Okay. And then we have left. Left is nothing but it will extract the data from the left side of the input text. This is the input text and it extracts the data from the left side and based on the length. So let's say if you mention 3 characters, it will extract first 3 characters. If you mention 4 characters, it will extract 4 characters. So that is the purpose of left. And then we know what is the purpose of length. Length will calculate the length of your given text. Okay, so let's say if I pass a text something like this is BluePrism, paste it here. So when you evaluate the expression, it is giving you the result, the length of the text which is present inside the length function. Okay, total it is 8 characters, and you can observe there is spaces also. It will calculate the length by including the spaces also. It will calculate the length by including the spaces also. Space is also a character, so that is the reason it includes space also, and then it will give the length of that. And lower, if you want to convert the text into lowercase or uppercase, then you can use this lower and upper functions. Okay, and then we have mid. So what is the purpose of mid? Mid also will extract the text. So remember one thing, guys. So what are all the functions will extract the text here? Please take a look at this. What are all the functions are going to extract the text? Mid function, left, and right. That's all. Only these 3 functions will extract the data from the given text. If you want, you can make a note of this point. Okay, so mid, left, and right. Only these 3 functions will extract the data. Remaining all are, the purpose of remaining functions are different. If you observe ends with, what will be the output from ends with? Ends with will result you in true or false. It will not give you any data. It is not going to extract any data from the given text, and it is not going to give the output as that. Okay, it will identify if a text is available in the given text or not, and it will tell you true or false. If it is available, it will give you the result as true. If it is not available, it will give you the result as false. That is what ends with is going to do. Similarly, in string is extracting. Are we extracting any data here? No, using in string we are not extracting any data. So let me say in string of given text, comma, I say, so when I evaluate this expression, see, I'm trying to find if blue word is available in the sentence or not. If the word blue is available in the sentence or not. So when I evaluate this expression, you can see, yes, it is available, and the value is 9. What is this 9? It is the position from where this word blue is starting. It is the position from where the word blue is getting started. You can see, you can count the characters here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including space, 6, 7, and 8. Space is also character, right? 8, and then word blue is starting from position 9, and that is the reason it is giving you the position here. This will be your position where the specific word is available. Okay, but whereas mid is different, left is different, and right is different. Left, mid, and right will help you to extract the data. Only these 3 functions, using these 3 functions, you will be able to extract the data. Okay, what is the output from the remaining functions? It will be different based on the functionality. Okay, it's functionality. Okay, now new line, we have already discussed about new line in the previous session. New line will generate the new line so that the text will be entered from the next line. Okay, if you want to write something in the next line, you can use this new line function. Replace, we have seen this replace also. It is going to replace the word. So let's say, for example, I say replace of I want to replace word blue. I say this is the word I am planning to replace. Okay, I want to replace blue with black. Okay, now, so here there will be three parameters for this replace function. So this is the input, the actual text in which I am supposed to replace the value. Which value I am supposed to replace? I want to replace blue. And what is the new value we want to see over there instead of blue? I want to see this black. Okay. Now, evaluate the expression. Am I able to see this? This is black prism. Okay. So instead of blue, I am writing black in the text. Okay, so this is also is going to give you the output as text, but here we are not extracting the data, we are replacing the data here. We are replacing the data here. Okay, now the same thing, can I do it through data items? Yes, we can do it through data items. So instead of having, we take a data item. New value to replace text function, say black. Okay, instead of hard coding that, what I'm doing here is, just observe it. Instead of hard coding this value, I will pass my data item new value to replace. I am passing the value through data item, so that is it, what are you supposed to understand here is, you are supposed to understand, we are not only, I mean, not only we can hard code them, you can also pass the values to the data items. You can use the data items inside these functions. Inside these functions you can use the data items. Okay, it is a data item, new value to replace is a data item. And now, what function we are using here? Replace. I'm going to replace new value. So this is my new value. Forget about these data items now. So once you click on that and once you run this flow, you can see the replaced value will be available over there. Yeah, are we able to replace it? Likewise. So that is how we are going to use this replace function. And similarly, we have right, similar to left. Left will extract the data from the left side, right will extract the data from the right side. Okay, and starts with is similar to ends with. So starts with will try to identify if the given text is available in this from the start of the input text. Okay, so this will be your input text, and this will be the text which you are planning to check if it is available from the start. Okay, no, if it is available, it will give you the result as true. If it is not, it will give the result as false. Okay, your output will be flag data type here. Okay, and then we have trim. Trim will help us to remove the spaces. Just trim is going to remove the spaces at the start and end both sides. So trim end will remove the spaces to the end only. Trim start will remove the spaces to the start only. Okay, and then uppercase. Uppercase, we know what is uppercase. Want to convert the text into uppercase? Use this upper. Okay. So this is what we have discussed in our previous session. The whole thing. The whole thing. Okay. Now, just a second. Someone is asking some questions here. Okay, short recap. Okay. Download is done. Shubham, sir, we can install APK. It is not APK, basically it is .msi. Okay, don't install it now. I'll tell you how to install it. Okay, so don't be in hurry and install it. Just wait a second. I'll explain you how to install it. Someone who is having laptop, I will request any of you to share. I mean, share the screen, and then we'll do step by step. Okay, don't be in hurry, please. I'm requesting everyone to please hold on for some time, and I will tell you by the end of the session. I'll show you how to install it. Everyone, okay? Yeah, and then now we have seen numeric functions and text functions, and coming to the logical functions. See, logical functions are really easy. We know that. So let's say if you want to take some decision, if you want to do some decision making, what are we going to do? We are supposed to write some logical functions here, right? We are supposed to use our logical functions. Let's say if you want to figure out which number is greater, we use greater. Okay, and if we want to make sure that if the value is greater than or equal to or not, then we use this greater than or equal to. Okay, for each and every function here, you have the symbol here. Okay, see, just observe the symbol. For equal to, you need to use equal to. Okay, so these are all the simple functions. So, and here you can use, if the given text is a date or not, is date time, is flag, is number, is time, something like that. Okay. So let's say for example, is number. Let me show you how this is going to work. Is number, is number. Inside that I will pass 2356. Okay, some number I have passed some number here. Okay, now if I evaluate this expression, what is the result I have got? Since it is a number, it is giving me the output as true. Every function will result you in either true or false. That's all. Every function here will result you in either true or false. That's all. Apart from that, it will not give you any other result. Okay, logical functions are not going to extract any data or do any manipulation on the data. It will just validate the data. We are going to take the decisions through these logical functions. You might have already used in your programming language. Okay, most of these logical functions, you might have done some comparisons, you might have used some if conditions and all, right? So that is the place where, so if the input number is equal to the output number, then do so and so program, something like that. Okay, so you might have already used these logical functions, most of the logical functions. Okay, so but the thing here is we do have something called as is date time, is flag. So let's say instead of this, if I say some text here, if I enter some text and try to evaluate the expression, let me enter it in double quotes. It's a text, right? You have to put it in double quotes. Now evaluate the expression. See, it is giving us false. Okay, and now let me show you one more interesting thing here. Let me take a data item. In this data item, it is a number, some random number. Okay, random number. Okay, but I am making the data type of this as text, and in text also I will be able to store number. In a text data type, I will be able to store number, right? So I click OK. So this is the one, and now can I use this function is number to check if it is number or not? Yes, I will be able to use it. So even though it is a text, pass the random number here, paste it, and now evaluate this. Uh, is it number? Okay, I'm just creating one data item. You can see what is the output it has created. By clicking on this blue button, you can see it has automatically created a flag data type here. On flag data type, it has created the data item. Now Now you can run this and see what will be your output here. It is true. It has given you the output as true because it is a number. Since it is a number, you are getting the output as true. Okay. So is number, is date time. Shubham, I have already told you to just hold on, right? Guys, just give me some time. Let us finish this topics here, and then I'll help you to install the setup on your mission. Okay. Is it clear, Shubham? Yeah. Let me finish with these functions here, and then we will install this application on your mission, and then it's up to you. Then you can start practicing. Okay. Just give some time. Let us finish this. We are in middle of this, right? I have already told you multiple times that we'll do this after the session. Okay. So once the session is completed, it will be easy for you to practice also. Yeah. So where were we? Yeah, is number. Yeah. So now, even though it is a text data type, it is trying to check if the value inside it is number or not. So that is how these functions will help us. Okay. So even though the data type is text, it will try to check what is the value inside it. So let's say if I pass some alphanumeric value, something like this, A, B, C, 4, 5, 6, 8, 7. Okay. Now what will be our result here? Now it will try to check if it is number or not, if the given input is number or not. If it is number, only then it will give us true. If it is not, it will give us false. The output will be false over here. Okay, see that the output is false because it is an alphanumeric value. It is an alphanumeric value, and that is the reason the output is false over here. Okay. And then we have, likewise, you can identify if it is date or not, if it is date time or not, if it is number, is time span. Okay. Likewise, we have all these functions here. Fine. Now we have date functions. We have date functions here. So date functions are really important. Date functions will help you in lot of ways. So basically in most of the automations which we do, we might be using one or the other date function. Okay, in most of the automations. Okay, so whenever we are dealing with data, every data will be having some date column. So let's say for example, when I ask about a employee about his data, he will give me his details like date of joining, date of birth, and etc. Right? There will be some date value in any information. In any kind of information, there will be some value related to date. Okay. So for that reason, we have some date functions here, which will help us to manipulate the date values. Okay. To manipulate, to work on the date values, we'll be having these date functions here. Okay. So here if you see, we have add days. To a given date, we will be able to add number of days. To a given month, I mean to a given date, we will be able to add number of months. Okay. So add days, add months, like date add, Date add is completely different. Date add and date diff, it will be following some particular intervals. We'll be following some particular intervals over here. So based on those intervals, we are going to add the values to this date functions. Okay, and then we can format the date. You know, right? You might have already worked on all these things. I'm not sure if you have worked on it, but I'm going to show you how to format, how to change these formats also. Okay, slowly, one by one. Whenever we practice something, we'll come across most of the things, and we are going to use all these functions. Okay, so before we start using these functions, we should be familiar with these functions. Okay, so at least you should know what are all the functions are available. That is the reason I'm talking about all the functions here. Okay, so when we come to know that which are all the functions available, it will be easy for us to identify the solution. And so let me show you some sample example here. Add days. So let me pass the date here. Today's date. It's slash 2021. And let's see if I want to add 10 days to this. It's it over there. Evaluate this expression. Remember one thing, whenever you are going to use these date functions, right, try to pass the parameters in double quotes. Okay, all the parameters in double quotes. Let's say for example this one, we need to pass the date also in double quotes. Yes, I know, we know that it is not a text function, but still try to pass it in double quotes. It is the syntax. According to syntax, we are supposed to pass it in the double quotes. Now you evaluate the expression. You can see the result here, 18/11/2021. So for the given date, we are able to add 10 days. Okay, likewise we have add months. Okay, for add months also, let me update this function here. Here also we are going to add months here. Okay, for this given date we are going to add 10 months, and what will be our result? It will go to next year, 8/9/2022, 10 months from this date. We have added 10 months to the given date, and this is the result. Okay, so likewise we are going to see date add, date diff functions. Okay, so everyone take a break of 5 minutes. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, so once we are back in 5 minutes, I will start talking about date add and date diff. Once that is done, we will start installing the application on your machines. Okay, So hope everyone are back. Shall we proceed, guys? Is everyone back? Cool. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Now let me talk about these data functions here. So we have this, I mean, we have seen this date, add days and add months. Add days and add months will add only days and months. So add days will add to a given date, it will add days alone. To a given date, it will add months alone. Add days and add months. Okay. Now, what else we have here? Date add. What is this date add is going to do? Date add will add anything to a given date. Anything in the sense like what are all the values we have, anything. So in a date we'll be having a week, days, quarters, and then month, and then also we have a year. Okay, now you can see the interval codes here to the left side. In this sheet you can see all the interval codes for date add and date diff. I will share this document with you. Meantime, let me ping this in the chat window. I have pinged you all the interval codes in the chat window here. You can just take a look at it. Okay. Remember, you'll be getting one certification question on this also. One certification question on this concept. Okay. Now let us go to date add. What are all the inputs for this date add? Take a look at this: interval, number, and date. So from these two functions, I can only add number of days and number of months to a given date. Let's say if I want to add number of years to a given date, how will I be able to do that? In that scenario, we are going to utilize this date add. So we are going to pass the interval and how many years and what is the date, to which date we are planning to add. Okay, so let's say for today's date is 8/11/2021. Okay, November 8th 2021. I want to add 3 years to this date. So how will I be able to add this? We know the interval for year is 0. Interval code for year is 0. Now I'm going to pass the interval as 0, so that 0 means it is going to add years. And what is the number? Number will be how many years? Number will be how many years do I need to add? Let's say 5 years or 3 years or whatever it may be. Now paste this, and you can see this is the date function. Now evaluate the expression. As I told you earlier, don't forget to put it in the double quotes. Put the date in double quotes here. Okay. Now evaluate the expression and see if we are able to add 5 years to the given date. So interval will be the code. The code represents 0 represents year, 1 represents week, 2 represents day, okay, 4 represents quarter, 5 represents month. How many months does a quarter consist of? A quarter means 3 months. In a financial year, we will be having total 4 quarters. Okay, 1 quarter is nothing but 3 months. Okay, A quarter is equal to 3 months. So now we are able to add years to the given date. How are we able to do that? Based on the interval code. Now similarly, if I want to add a week for this, how will I be able to do that? What is the interval for week? Interval for week is 1, and I want to add 1 week for this. So first input for this is interval, and next input is number of weeks or number of years, whatever it may be, number of days or number of quarters or number of months. This will be the number of the values, I mean number of the days or months or quarters or weeks or whatever it may be. And this will be, first input will be your interval, and last thing will be your date, to which date you are planning to add this. Okay, now one is interval for week, and I am planning to add 1 week. So now if you evaluate the expression, you can see the result is 15/11/2021, which is a week from now. Okay, now similarly, let me update this to 2, and you can see 2 weeks will be added to the given date, and you will get the date of the second week. Okay, after adding 2 weeks to the given date, what will be our date? It will be 22/11/2021. Okay. Likewise, we can add days also. Let's say 1, and for days, the interval code is 2. For days, the interval code is 2. So here you see 2 is the interval code for days. Okay. Now, if we evaluate this expression, you can see 1 day is added to the given date. So if you want to add days, you can directly use this add days also. Okay. So in certification, how you will get the question is, so let's say for example, they will give you one date. Okay, they'll give you one date, and they will show the result as 8. So here it is 11, right? They will show the result as 8 /01/2022. Okay, here now they will ask you a question like, which interval will help you to generate this date, and in the options they will provide you 0, 1, 2, 3, some interval codes. So you need to identify the proper interval code here to update the months. So this is for updating the months. We are updating the months here, right? We are adding 3 months to the given date. Okay, so based on the question, read the question properly in the certification, and you'll be able to answer it correctly. So these are all the interval codes which I have mentioned in the chat box, and these are all the interval codes. Now you can utilize this. So there is no update. We don't have any update for number 3. There is no interval code for that. Okay, just forget about 3. 0, 1, 2, 4, 5. Code for year, week, days, quarter, and month. Okay, and here you can see code for year, week, seconds, quarter, months, minutes, hours, and days. Okay, is it clear? Any questions on this? So this is how we are going to use date add and date if. So based on the interval, you pass the interval and mention the number, and it will be easy for you to understand that. You get your expected output. Anyone have any questions? Now similarly, we can format the date also here. So let's say for example, my given date is something like this. This is my given date. I need to format it in a different way. So what I do, format, comma, I will say double quotes DD, and then 555. I want to see complete year, not just the last two digits of the year. I want to see complete year. So now you have an expression in different function format. Why? Format date. Format date. Function name is format date. See, am I able to see the result here? 08 November 2021. So likewise, you can change the date format also. Pass the input date and simply provide the format which you are expecting to see, and it will be able to give you the result here. Okay. So similarly, you can format the date time also. Okay. DT, mm, YY, and then you will be having hours, minutes, and seconds. So you can just in Google, you can just type in for date formats. You will get all the date formats. Okay. See, hours, minutes, and seconds. This is the format for time. Okay. Likewise, you can convert it into any way, whatever the date you are providing. If you want to convert it into the hours, minutes, and seconds, also we can convert the date into a specific format using these functions. Clear? So these are the important functions which we have in BluePrism. Most frequently, we will be using this date functions, logical functions, numeric functions, and text functions. And then exceptions. I will talk about exceptions later. Environment also, I will talk about them later. You will be able to get all the details related to your mission and your environment. We'll talk about this later. So we need to finish some concepts if you want to use this environment. Okay, functions related to environment. Clear? And then conversion. Conversion is quite easy. As also we have seen, we can convert the values to number, 2 minutes, 2 hours, to date time. Any text value. We have got the value in a text format, text data type. A date in a text data type. You can convert it to a date data type. Here it will be data type conversion. It is not a value conversion, it is data type conversion. So if a date is in a text format, you want to convert it into date data type. So that is the place where we are going to use these conversions. Okay, which are quite familiar. You might have used in SQL also using cast. Casting, you can cast the data types there in SQL, right? Likewise. So that's all for functions topics. Okay. So let us go to these date functions. Date add. So this date add function have three inputs here, right? One is interval, number, date. Okay. So you are asking about number or interval, native value. In date, we can't pass native values, that we know. In date, we can't pass native value, right? So where are you talking about if I add native values? So let me provide the date here in double quotes. Let me say 8/11/2021, and let me paste this. So here is the date add. So number, in number. So here you mean, right? -1. What happened to that? It subtracted that interval, specific interval from the given date. Okay. So whatever the interval we have, so let's say for example, this is the interval for a week, right? One is the interval for week. So it is going to subtract 1 week from that. Okay. And similarly, you can use date diff also to subtract the dates. Okay. So this will happen with negative numbers. When you pass the negative numbers, it will be able to subtract the value. So let's say for example, let us see for days. It will be easy for you to understand. Days, the code is 2. So let's say if I say 2 and -5. So what will be our date here? What will be the resultant date? 3/11/2021. So this is what is going to happen with date add when you pass negative values. Okay, you can explore all these things. These are quite simple. You can practice it here also. So we'll set up the BluePrism first, and there are some other questions. Vibish have asked this question. So for adding days, we can only use add days and impossible to use date add function. Am I correct, sir? No, 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 nothing like that. So to Vibish, to add the days, right, we can use both the functions. It is not mandatory that we need to use only add days. So let's say, for example, so if you want to add some 10 days to this given date, so I'm using date add function here, and I pass the interval. So what is the difference between date add and date add days and date add is? Date add will ask you for the extra input here. What is that? Interval. You pass me the interval. Based on the interval, I will add number of years or number of days or number of months. But whereas add days, it will add only days alone. You can use this only for adding days. That's all. You can't use it for anything else. Add days, you can use it for only one requirement. That is add days. That's all. You can't use it for anything else.